Macmillan Audio presents The Enemy Beside Me, written by Naomi Ragen, read for you by Gina Murray. He spoke very deliberately. We do not hate the Jews, but the Jews, the Jews hate us. Perhaps not even unjustifiably. Perhaps I would hate us too. But the time has come for this hatred to end. There is only one way. We must love the Jews until they stop hating us, regardless of how long it will take. The Right Nose by Doron Rabinovici, translated from the German by Dagmar C.G. Lorenz, from Nothing Makes You Free, edited by Melvin Jules Bouquiet. 1. Milia Gottstein Lasker swept into her office, as always, as if the ground outside were on fire, and she was seeking shelter. Running her fingers through her thick, shiny mahogany hair, crying out for the cut-and-blow-dry she couldn't waste time on, she slammed her huge black purse onto her desk, turning to her long-suffering secretary, Shoshana, with her usual greeting. "Where are we up to?" Unlike other enterprises, which had a beginning, a middle, and an end, or at least a way of measuring progress, hunting for Nazi war criminals who had escaped justice was a never-ending process of effort and almost constant disappointment. There was no problem finding them. They were all over the place, even now, 70 years later. Having escaped via the infamous routes dubbed rat lines. There was the Nordic route, through Finland and Sweden to Argentina, the Iberian route, through Spain, via Rome or Genoa, and then there was the Vatican route, provided by friendly churches and clergymen and sympathizers worldwide, the Croatian priest Krunoslav Draganovic, and the Bishop of Austria, Alois Hudal. It was the one Adolf Eichmann had used, Milia discovered, and he was apparently so grateful that he said he considered himself an honorary Catholic, which Milia was sure must have been just lovely for the Pope. Others, she'd found, had been equally helpful. The International Committee of the Red Cross had provided false identity papers, and the Americans, via the CIC, or Counterintelligence Corps, the precursor to the CIA, were only too delighted to generously host Nazi war criminals who were willing to turn informants, like the infamous Klaus Barbie, who happily chatted away about communist activities. Through their military intelligence service, the Americans had gone so far as to actually set up a secret camp within the United States where Nazi scientists who had spent the war years diligently working on missiles to annihilate the West were allowed to sunbathe by a pool and play tennis. That is, when they were not being fated with trips to Jewish department stores where they could buy their wives and mistresses expensive lingerie for Christmas. All the while being pampered by American GIs, almost exclusively Jewish refugees who spoke perfect German, obscenely forced by direct military orders to make them comfortable. The U.S. rocket program had been grateful. Judging by the sheer number of Nazi octogenarians and nonagenarians spread across the world, the fugitives had taken very good care of themselves. Money, after all, had not been a problem. Their victims had seen to that. But then, even when you found them and produced live witnesses to testify against them, miraculous in itself, the survival.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?